There's some question, are they terrorists? Well, I say they are, and it's payback time for a group known as Hezbollah, the Army of God. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, has given them a warning. It will pay, quote, the full price for a deadly attack that killed 2 Israeli soldiers on the border. And now Israel's forces are on high alert.
The attack has left northern Israel on edge, and the army warns it might strike back. Chris Mitchell brings us the story.
After the attack, the IDF put its forces on high alert, responded with artillery bombardment, and launched at least 50 airstrikes. The Hezbollah attack took place not far down this road. From here on in, it's a closed military zone. It's the deadliest attack by Hezbollah against Israel in more than 8 years, since the 2006 Second Lebanon War. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accused Iran of being behind the attack.
Whoever is behind this attack will pay the full price. For some time, Iran, via Hezbollah, has been trying to establish an additional terrorist front against us from the Golan Heights. We are taking strong and responsible action against this attempt.
The attack follows a strike by Israel last week that killed several Hezbollah soldiers and an Iranian general inside Syria near the Golan Heights. It reveals Iran has regional ambitions and wants to safeguard its nuclear program.
They are trying to make a front in the Golan to say to Israel, if you will attack our nuclear system, so we can act through Lebanon, through Syria, through everywhere, and we have tens of thousands of missiles with Hezbollah and Syria.
While many analysts feel the border will quiet down, it remains a very fragile situation. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, on the Israeli-Lebanese border.
Thanks, Chris. I was speaking to a former Israeli prime minister who said, if we can find the head of Hezbollah, we'll kill him. Well, I think he's surfaced, and they haven't had a chance to kill him. I misspoke earlier, by the way. The White House is saying they won't call the Taliban terrorists. They're, quote, an armed whatever. But Hezbollah is still marked down as a terrorist group. They have got dominant forces in Lebanon, and they're, you know, Israel is somewhat surrounded. They've got Syria, and they've got Lebanon, and they've got these other nations around them. But they're not going to be pushed around, and we appreciate it. Well, the other group, you know, are they winning? Are they losing? It looks like they're winning many adherents. And the brutal terrorists from ISIS are trying to make a deal for the release of a suicide bomber, a woman who has accounted for hundreds and hundreds of deaths. John Jessup has that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. Here's John.
Pat, that's right. A new deadline from ISIS in exchange for a proposed prisoner swap. The terror group is demanding the release of a female suicide bomber in exchange for a Jordanian military pilot and a journalist from Japan. But as Charlene Aaron reports, the White House is voicing strong objections.
The lives of Japanese journalist Kenji Goto and a Jordanian military pilot hang in the balance as the governments of Jordan and Japan negotiate a prisoner swap with the terrorists. A new video released by ISIS warns the prisoner swap must happen by sunset Thursday, or the Jordanian pilot will be killed. The video shows Goto shackled and forced to read his own death sentence while holding a photo of the pilot, Maaz al-Kaseba.
I only have 24 hours left to live, and the pilot has even less.
The video says the Jordanians must release a female terrorist. The Iraqi woman was sentenced to death for her involvement in a deadly terrorist attack in 2005. The mother of the Japanese hostage made an emotional appeal to leaders early Wednesday, asking them to please save Kenji's life. Jordan is said to be in direct talks with ISIS and has requested assurances that the 26-year-old pilot was safe. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe says Japan would do everything it could to secure the release of Goto. ISIS had previously demanded cash ransoms for all foreign hostages it has seized since late 2012, but the White House is against such action.
This is a diplomatic victory, a propaganda victory for ISIS.
What ISIS wants is for people to treat them like a state. It's in Jordan's interest not to treat them like a state.
Meanwhile, up to now, ISIS has been winning the propaganda war for new recruits. Stopping that is a critical challenge facing Washington and the West. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Thanks, Charlene. Pat, back to you.
The president has been very reluctant to mention anything about Islamic. We talk about worldwide terror and all that sort of thing, but how about Islamic? The Europeans are naming it. It's Islamic. And we're reluctant in our diplomatic circles in the United States to call a spade a spade. We have something that has been very popular, but with probably 1/3 of a million copies have gotten out so far, and I just want to put it in your hand. It's called Islam, a Religion of War or Peace. It shows directly quotes from the Quran. What does it say? Quotes from the Hadith. What does it say? What are the goals and aims of Islamic terrorists? What is Islam, the overall Islam that was founded by Muhammad? What did he tell his adherents to do? It's in here. It's very well presented. It's very attractive. It's got pictures and things in here. We'll give it to you free. Islam, Religion of Peace or War. You can call in. I think you need to have it. John?
Pat, here at home, President Obama's nominee to replace Attorney General Eric Holder is supporting the president's controversial action on illegal immigrants. Republican senators asked Loretta Lynch numerous questions about the president's move to shelter millions of illegal immigrants from deportation. Lynch said she has studied legal opinions that supported the action and that she didn't see any reason to doubt them. Senators also asked her about other controversies involving the Justice Department, including the investigation of the IRS Tea Party scandal. Arizona is working to shut down sex trafficking centered around the Super Bowl. And for months, the state has been focused on training law enforcement and promoting public awareness. And as Ephraim Graham reports, those efforts are making a difference.
Authorities know high-profile sporting events like the Super Bowl draw not only large crowds, but large numbers of traffickers. This year, the state tackled the problem head-on with the public awareness campaign. Arizona's not buying it. Helping to get the word out, the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Phoenix Suns, and former Cardinal star quarterback Kurt Warner.
When it comes to human trafficking of children, we want the world to know.
We're not buying it.
Arizona's not buying it.
Dominique Rosepowicz studies the connection between trafficking and sporting events. She credits increased law enforcement for deterring traffickers at last year's Super Bowl in New Jersey and believes that success will continue in Phoenix.
I think if you're a trafficker or a pimp in this day and age and you bring a person here to be trafficked, you are asleep at the wheel. The Super Bowl has really sent a message. The NFL has sent a message. Our community has sent a message that sex trafficking will not be tolerated here.
Activist groups like Shared Hope push public awareness, setting up exhibits on college campuses in Arizona and collaborating with community organizations. One group got creative and distributed 20,000 bars of soap with trafficking hotline numbers to Phoenix hotels. One more way a victim could potentially call for help. Kathleen Wynn, who led the fight against trafficking for the Attorney General's office last year, sees a change in the public's understanding of the issue.
4 years ago, you would have been hard pressed in Arizona to find somebody that had heard about trafficking or even believed that it was happening here.
Now, traffickers and buyers face tougher penalties in Arizona, thanks to new legislation and a public that's aware and opposed to the sale of children. Ephraim Graham, CBN News.
The Super Bowl is big business, especially for advertisers. This year, a 30-second commercial spot costs about $4.5 million. And just a few days before the big game, NBC says all of the ad time for commercials are finally sold out, even though a network exec says it was a challenging environment. NBC has also sold out the post-game show and digital stream as well. Pat, that's a bargain basement price, $4.5 million.
Yeah, I mean, you want to get at least a half a dozen of them. It's so much cheaper. I mean, it's incredible. I mentioned yesterday one particular business, it's a smaller business, but they took their entire annual advertising budget and they bought one 30-second spot. I really think that is not smart, but nevertheless, they're doing it and I'm not. But $4.5 million for 30 seconds. All a guy's got to go is to, turn the hot water on for a cup of coffee and he's missed the 30 seconds. You go to the bathroom or you're munching some crunchy munchies, whatever they're having, and the 30 seconds is gone.
But you know what, Pat? A lot of people, especially some women, watch the Super Bowl just for the commercials.
Well, they knock themselves out. If you're going to pay that much money for the airtime, you'd better have your creative juices. Now, the argument is the little lost puppy, you know, GoDaddy, they withdrew their ad because it wasn't quite tender enough, and Budweiser, it's got those monstrous horses and the little dog, and it's kind of sweet, but as somebody said, how in the world does that make you want to buy Budweiser? But anyhow.
If we're not careful, it's going to become more about the commercials eventually than the game.
Well, it really is. I mean, they're rated, you know, we had some people here who had that big dog that, you know, that Great Dane that had the bag of Doritos.
Oh yeah, that was a good
It was a very cute thing, and it was the winner, I think, of the I don't know if you call it the advertising amateurs, but it was very interesting. But a lot of people are going to be watching. Well over 100 million people. It's the biggest sporting event, I suppose. Maybe World Cup soccer is bigger, but as far as the United States, it's the biggest we've got. John.
Pat, whether you're watching commercials or the game itself, viewers across the country and around the world will no doubt be eating while watching the game, and much of what people will be putting in their mouths won't be particularly good for them. But CBN's Angela Zatopek whipped up a healthy game day recipe you don't want to miss.
Super Bowl Sunday is such a fun day. You see your friends and family maybe that you haven't seen in forever, and so you really want to minimize your time in the kitchen. So I'm bringing you a recipe. It only takes 10 minutes, and it also meets a lot of dietary needs for those people that are trying to stick to their resolutions. It's vegan, paleo, gluten-free. Hey, you cannot get any healthier than that. What are we going to make? Guacamole, but with a twist. Okay, so it only takes 10 minutes, and these are all the ingredients you're gonna need. You need 2 avocados, you need a red onion, 1 lime, cilantro, 1 mango, and the twist, sriracha. Scoop the avocado in the bowl, 2 pinches of fresh cilantro, 3 pinches of red onion, 3 tablespoons of mango, and a squeeze of lime. Final kick here, we're gonna add some sriracha. Now, really honestly, just eye this. Do you like things really spicy or just a little spicy? I like things really spicy, but I'm about to put my producer to the taste test. Chris is from Boston.
Tom Brady's innocent.
Yeah, the most appropriate platter for a Patriots fan, I feel like, given the circumstances.
Are you kidding me?
A deflated football. Yes!
If you really want to win over your friends on game day, bring your guacamole and your chips and a deflated football.
Okay, so you got to try it.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
I want to try it too, actually. So cheers.
Here.
Go Seahawks. Go Seahawks. Mmm. Very good.
It is zesty, but good.
So good.
It's really good.
Okay.
You're impressive.
And you know what? For my family that thinks I'm not domestic, this proves you wrong.
It's definitely a little hot.
It's a little hot.
It's definitely very good.
I like it hot.
It's very good.
So we hope you enjoy our game day guacamole.
And you can get that recipe on cbnnews.com. Pat, are you going to give that zesty guacamole a try?
I wasn't planning on it, but I'm sure.
Yeah,
it looks
love
good.
All of those ingredients are fantastic.
Angela, that's good for her.
That was fun. Okay. So Seahawks. You're going with Seahawks.
Well, I'm just, I don't want to insult Boston, but I just feel that the coach of the Seahawks, he's got tricks up his sleeve that we've never even heard of yet, and we're going to see them. And you know, I won that thing one year, as I told you, by picking the closest score to whoever the winner was and the score of the game.
Right.
And I've got a statue in my office that says so. But I believe that you want my pick. You can watch it. I would say the Seahawks 20-14 over the Patriots, but that would be unusual. It's some report that Tom Brady may be sick, and if he's under the weather, New England's going to have trouble because he's a tremendous, great quarterback. But I hope he's well, and I hope the guys from Seattle are well, and it's going to be a great game.
He needs to try some of Angela's guacamole.
Yeah, doesn't that look good?
That could probably heal anybody.
Yeah, well, it'll either burn your stomach out.
Boko Haram warriors are on another killing spree in Nigeria. They've killed at least 40 villagers. Some survivors say Boko Haram is terrorizing the country with absolutely no response from government troops. The group is increasing its attacks as the country prepares for elections next month. The Chief Justice of Alabama Supreme Court says federal judges have no right to redefine his state's marriage laws. So he's refusing to recognize a federal ruling that struck down Alabama's constitutional amendment banning same-sex marriage. Chief Justice Roy Moore is urging Alabama probate judges not to issue marriage licenses to gay couples. He wrote a letter to Alabama's governor calling the ruling judicial tyranny. He says it's non-binding on Alabama judges because, quote, nothing in the United States Constitution grants the federal government the authority to redefine the institution of marriage. Well, you can always get the latest from CBN News by going to our website at cbnnews.com.